Fellow Toastmasters, yes, Monday was Columbus Day. For me and many others, we had the day off. So I took that day off and I enjoyed it. But today is October 12th. 520 years ago today, Columbus discovered America. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about Columbus's voyage to the New World. I'll try not to be controversial and try and keep it somewhere near the elementary school level with respect to facts. Maybe do a little myth busting. Now, just now I said that Columbus had discovered America. Well, we know he didn't do that. First of all, when he showed up on the scene, there was already people here to greet him. And secondly, we know that he was beat to the New World by the Vikings, who arrived on the North American continent sometime in the 11th century. So we ask, well, what's the significance of Columbus's trips to the New World? And put simply, it launched the European exploration and colonization of the New World. So Christopher Columbus, in an effort to find a westward sea route to the Indies, inadvertently stumbles across the Americas, and as they say, the rest is history. So now you might want to ask, well, why Columbus and why at this point in history? Well, Columbus was ambitious. He wanted riches, adventure, glory, fame, influence. Really no different than any other adventurer or explorer of his day. And he saw the westward route via water to the Indies as his mechanism to achieve his goals. Now, it's really a very popular myth that the people of the day felt that the earth was flat. They didn't believe that. We had known since the 4th century from Aristotle that the earth was actually spherical. But what they did believe, and with significant trepidation, is that the journey from Europe to the Indies across the Atlantic would be very, very long. Actually impossible to do. Their ships weren't built to make that type of oceanic transit, and besides, they wouldn't be able to provision it with enough food and water to sustain the crew. Christopher Columbus, however, believed that he could make that journey. So he calculated, incorrectly, I might add, where he might find the Indies. But he had 3 significant flaws in his thinking. 1, he underestimated the size of the earth. 2, he overestimated the Eurasian landmass size. And 3, he believed that Japan and other inhabited islands were much further to the east of China than they actually were. So if you take these hypotheses of Columbus and you create a map of the world, and then you wrap it around the globe as we know it today, well, the Indies will fall somewhere between Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. Not too bad from figuring. So then you might say, well, what was it that caused Ferdinand and Isabella to agree to his plan? I mean, after all, they had just finished a very expensive war trying to consolidate their kingdoms in what we call Spain today. Well, there were several things going on in the world at the time. With the demise of the Mongol Empire, the Silk Road, which was the land transport from Europe to Asia, was no longer safe. It was risky and very expensive. Also at the time, there were a number of efforts underway, and a lot of these were being led by the Portuguese, who were competitors of the Spaniards, to find an eastward water route to the Indies. And so, Bartolomé Diaz, I think I got that name fairly close, had actually made it down the coast of Africa and around the Cape, which gave credence to the idea that you really could find an eastward water route to the Indies. Now, the Spanish royals still didn't believe that Columbus could actually make this trip. But what they didn't want was for him to go to some other monarch and convince him of the sanity of his idea. So they bought into his plan. What did they have to lose? If Columbus was right, they stand the chance of becoming very rich. If he was wrong, well, all the promises they made to him would be moot. So it was a win-win proposition for the royals. So, in August of 1492, Columbus finally was able to start sailing the ocean blue. Didn't think I'd get that in, did you? He left with 3 ships. The Santa Maria de la Immaculada Concepcion, Santa Clara, and a 3rd ship whose name has been lost to antiquity. So you're scratching your heads now. Why is that? Well, in those days, the Spaniards named all their ships after saints. But they all gave them nicknames. That's why we know it as Santa Maria, the Nina, and the Pinta. Okay. Now, these ships were small. The largest ship was only 60 feet long by about 20 feet wide. Crew of 40. The other two ships were smaller, with crews around 25 or 26. So from a reference, this room is about 19 feet wide and 26 feet long. I measured it earlier in the week. So think about it. Add another 25 feet in any direction, put on another 30 people, load on rancid water and rotten food, and then set out across an ocean. You have no idea how long it really is, and where you're going, and when you're going to get there, and that's what Chris and his guys had to deal with. So in all, overall, Chris did 4 trips to the New World. Not one time did he land on the North American continent. And to his dying day, despite all the evidence to the contrary, he asserted that he actually made it to the Indies, which could be one reason why the New World is named after Amerigo Vespucci, because he, unlike Columbus, recognized and acknowledged it wasn't the Indies, but in fact a brand new land. So there you have it, an elementary school eye view of Christopher Columbus and his discovery of the New World.